Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we are called to observe and recognize things, which we've made judging a synonym of that. But the judgment that being referred to there is more of the determining of consequence.
The problem is that there's a slippery slope, right? When you say we can determine consequence or not, right? Even if we say we can't, the idea becomes that of looking at the rules we have and measuring people according to our understanding of those rules. That's not our job.
Sure.
It's never been our job.
And
we
also,
do it all the time.
as Kendrick just said, the judges did not give out judgment based on how they felt it should have been given out. It was, you had a rule and regulation, and A plus B gets C. Doesn't matter whether or not they agree with it, if it should be that way. God laid it out and said, this is your judgment.
See,
it's not your personal opinion on what should happen.
But if you look at the
Paul just judged.
Yeah, Paul.
But if you look at the if you look at the way that
everybody.
We're not going there. Go ahead.
In my head, I have more people. I said, and Samson.
Yeah, I mean, but you think about the judicial system, the way it was set up in the Hebrew times, where there is no defense attorney. The judge is the defense attorney. The prosecutor has to convince the judge that a crime was committed. The only way that happens is if the prosecutor proves his case without a reasonable doubt. That's the exact opposite of our justice system. So when we think about a judge and we're trying to figure out what a judge is like, Christ says, I am your judge.
And advocate.
And advocate. Come on, man. That's great stuff. Okay. That means the judge is on my side from the beginning of the case.
What were you saying, Warren?
Oh, hold on. Before we go on. Small break. There's a telephone number that you can use to call in. I still haven't learned that telephone number. But we created a slide that you can see it right now while I'm talking, and it's up there. It starts with a 9. You should be able to call in if you'd like to weigh in on the conversation. And if you're just joining us for the first time,
don't miss now.
Download the reading plan so that you can keep up with what we're talking about and you won't feel lost. Who was next on the floor?
Look, I gotta say something, and we don't have to go deep into it, but we talked about the temptation, and you brought up how it says, "Lead me not into temptation," right? So there's an apparent, which we know it doesn't, contradicting the word, but here in James 1:4, and I'm not trying to put you on blast. I gotta reconcile this, or at least put it up in the air so we can figure it out. James 1:13 says, "Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man."
All right, hold on.
And
then like I like the next verse is kind of
But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So I guess my question is, when God
before
Jesus,
you ask your question,
go ahead.
Let's add on.
Okay.
Before we dialogue, let's add on another verse.
Okay.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 1.
All right. This thing builds.
Yes.
You had that in your back pocket?
He was ready.
He was ready. Matthew 4. See, there you go, man.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 1, and you go ahead and read it.
I was gonna. That was where I was going.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That was where I was going.
Then Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil.
Wait.
Jesus
Who led him? Who led him?
Of the Spirit.
The Spirit led him to do what?
To be tempted.
Okay, and the prayer is what?
Lead me not into.
Lead me not
okay, so who's doing the leading?
And if you look at the word, if you look at the word it's used.
Who's doing the leading? God, right? Whether it be by His Spirit or somebody else.
What's the verse for the temptation? It doesn't say, "Do not tempt me."
Yes,
very different.
Yes.
Those two phrases are very different. "Do not tempt me" is different from "Don't lead me into temptation."
Right.
They're two different concepts.
And that's
don't
the thing.
lead me into the place where my
is.
lust and my
Because Jesus was led to the desert to be tempted
by the Spirit.
But he wasn't tempted by the Spirit.
No, he wasn't tempted by the Spirit.
And I think,
he was led to be tempted.
But James talks about being tempted by this.
It says God cannot
tempt.
does not do the evil.
Right.
And so the question is, when he's saying "lead me not into temptation," is he saying? I'm not suggesting that he is. I'm asking, is he saying, "Don't allow me to be led"? Keep me from being led into temptation.
That's exactly what my
no.
process.
I say Matthew chapter 4 verse 1 says no, because that says clearly that the Spirit And you can read it. I have 4 versions right here.
Yeah.
It says clearly that the Spirit led him to be tempted.
Well, maybe.
Into
Now,
the wilderness.
It
to
led
be
him
tempted.
into the wilderness to
By
be
the
tempted.
devil.
So
Hold on. Therefore, when Jesus then comes later on and says, "This is how you should pray," he's had the experience of being led by God
And
to be
he's-
tempted.
And he's saying you don't want that.
So
He's
he's
like,
telling
you
us,
don't
don't
want
ask
want
him.
any
want
piece of
that.
that.
That's what I was
Right.
gonna
Ask
say.
him
He's
not
saying
to do that.
Except
So,
ask
but
him
pray.
not to- Ask him,
But you
please,
can
don't
only pray,
pray.
not to.
He said,
It's
ask
not.
him,
It's no
please.
guarantee.
Be
Because
merciful.
and it's probably because he's saying in your human
You can't handle that.
you can't handle that. So guess what? You don't even ask for that level of testing. Don't ask for
So
that.
he's instructing people who would actually pray to be led into temptation.
No.
It's kind of like
It's a safeguard. Like
Yeah.
he's saying don't do it. Don't. No, I'm sorry. He's not saying don't do it. He's saying pray that God does not do it, because it goes
Okay.
back to like
Right.
these trials make you stronger. Like God will put you through the test if He feels like it. And your prayer is like, Lord, please don't do that, because I don't want to have to go through that test. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how do
Is that what-
we
is that
grow
consensus?
in
Like we
See,
ask
but-
God to we ask God for humility, not to humble us. That's 2 different things.
Yeah,
I don't want to be humble.
I don't want to be humbled by God. I want humility, but I don't want God to humble me.
Yeah, but sometimes when you get
I mean, let's
humility,
go back
you
to
have be humble.
Hebrews 12 that talks about chasten it and
Yeah.
why would you want God to do it versus your
Yeah.
father, your fleshly dad?
Oh boy.
I mean, if God do it, amen, you're off to a great start, because it helps build the real character that you need to get to heaven. Versus if your earthly father does it, well, that's some work to do.
Well, what was this? Hebrews 13?
Hebrews 12.
Oh.
I'm struggling with
When
that.
God disciplines your children.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to keep going.
We can stay there.
Does that
We
make
can
sense?
stay
No,
there because
let's-
I'm
let's-
sure there's
let's-
somebody
let's-
who's.
let's-
I'm sure there's
let's-
somebody.
I don't have
I'm with
anything
you.
else.
I'm with
It
Mario
doesn't
on this
matter.
one.
It
Big
doesn't
time.
matter.
All right. Well,
I'm
let's
still trying to figure out. So my thought process, along with his, I'm hoping we're on the same lines. It says, "Lead me not into temptation," and you came back with Matthew, right? You're saying, "Hey," or James. You're like, "No, you don't do that. You can't really. God don't lead people to use evil to get into temptation, all that stuff."
But what's the next part of it though?
Hold on.
Yeah, so my thing is it more so you're saying, hey, don't lead me to temptation, or don't allow my sinful me to take over and go into temptation?
Well, I looked up the word that was lead in this, and it was to be escorted, to be guided, to be led. It wasn't a passive thing. It was an active.
And
It's
also
pulling
we also,
along
and
into
also we
it.
have to remember the context. The context when we look back at that other text when it
James?
What, James?
it was James
1, 3, and 4.
1,
Yeah.
Or
12, 13.
13, 14.
what?
Okay.
What? James,
It's saying when
James
tempted.
1.
It says
See-
by each one is tempted when by his own evil desire. See, Jesus had to be led because he didn't have an evil desire.
Mercy.
So now
Mercy.
remember, we enter into temptation by our desire. We don't. We don't even have to be led. But Jesus didn't have evil desire. So in order to have the same type of experience that we have, he had to be led into that experience.
There you go.
See,
Okay,
You
so
understand?
but
And
wait,
so-
but wait.
and
what-
so-
what we were-
So why would he teach us to pray
He's-
in the means
exactly.
in which we?
He's saying, don't put me in that. Under
No,
that
but
test.
that sounds like we use that prayer as an example. Well, now as the way we should pray.
Guide.
And God.
We don't believe it.
And if he said, Jesus is speaking, and I guess this is him praying and saying, "Lead me not into temptation," because he's been there, and I don't have evil things, so I don't want to go back there. You led me there. I can't pray that. I have evil feelings. I'll go there on my own. So it doesn't even apply to me. I can't take that prayer and say, because he had no evil feelings, this is why he prayed that, and say, yes, I can go ahead and pray that too. We're not of the same being.
But
No,
I have
But
to.
I guess the next phrase kind of.
Remember, people are trying to be more godly. People who are actually praying are trying to be where they want God to have them. And so they're like, oh, you know what? Jesus was in the wilderness, and I want that. I want that. I
You
want to
don't
be
want
led into. And he's just like, listen, that's not for you.
You don't want
Pray,
Look.
pray that that's not for you.
I agree with you. In Hebrews
Because
12,
people wanted to be like Jesus. If he went into a boat and tried, they wanted to go on the boat.
Right.
If he did this, they wanted to do that. And so he's saying, not everything you pray for, because you're gonna have enough on your own.
And we're mixing up terms. See, because in Hebrews 12, he's not talking about temptation. He's talking about discipline. That's a different thing.
Oh yeah.
Discipline from God is different from temptation.
Mm-hmm.
He says, lead me not into temptation. Pray this prayer. You don't want the Spirit to do what they did to me, and I agree 100%. But now here he's talking about something totally different. He's saying, you want me as God to be the one to discipline you. That's what you want.
Right.
Because a father is going to spank his kid and he's going to be like, man, I hit him enough. All right, I'm going to let him go.
But it still doesn't clarify the conflict and the contradiction of
Well, let's see.
But I'm saying this
quick.
can't. I'm saying this
Yes,
it can be.
clarify.
No,
It's a little quick.
Like a two-part discussion we had going. That was something else, and then we jump back to
Now,
temptation piece.
Matthew 1, chapter 4, verse 1 says,
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Jesus was led by the Spirit to be tempted by the devil.
Yes.
The Spirit led him to be tempted.
Right.
The Spirit didn't tempt him.
Right.
Exactly.
James chapter 1 says, and then I'm reading a different version, the New International Version. When tempted, verse 13, 1:13, James 1:13. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone.
Exactly.
This is all in harmony.
Right.
The Spirit didn't tempt him in the wilderness.
Exactly.
The Spirit led him to be tempted.
Right.
The prayer is not don't tempt me. The prayer is
Do not
lead me not into temptation.
Right.
No, but then it also goes here to say, for each person is tempted when he is lured and enticed by his own desire.
Yes.
Right.
But the Spirit.
I see what she's
Jesus
saying.
didn't have the desire to be tempted. There was no.
It wouldn't have been temptation
So
if he didn't have a desire.
but she's saying
But
It's not temptation. If you,
no.
the temptation with
I am not attracted to guys. I would never be attracted to guys. A guy can't seduce me, and there's no temptation.
That's apples and oranges.
No,
though.
man,
What-
it's the same thing.
No.
No.
What she's saying is in the two verses you have one verse where the Spirit is leading into temptation, right? James is talking about my evil desires are being led into temptation.
Are leading me to temptation.
Are leading them to temptation.
Oh, are tempting me.
But no. My desires are leading me into temptation.
That's what it's saying.
That's
No,
what it's saying.
Lord,
No,
no.
it says it
Yes,
right
it
here.
says it
Lord
right
But
and
there.
each
enticed.
person is tempted when he is lured
They are dragged
and
away
enticed by his own
Wow.
desire.
Wait.
Enticed.
That's
Enticed.
the
Hold on.
clarification there.
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
Enticed
Listen to
means
what it's
that you
saying.
haven't acted. That's still that's the
Hold on.
ing.
This is
that's
the
continuing.
This is the
Listen,
tempting
listen,
part.
listen.
This is not the bringing to the temptation. This is the
But I'm
tempting
lured.
part.
To be lured into something is to bring it into something. You're luring me. I am moving
Listen.
towards
Drag
Wow.
it.
away.
It's like you're calling me to it.
Okay, but
and the
think about-
Spirit
think
is
about it.
calling. The temptation is the calling.
So you're saying this whole phrase right here, a person is tempted when they are dragged
They
away
are
by their
tempted. They are
You're
tempted.
talking about what happened because Jesus, when he was tempted, had to be tempted by something that was a temptation
Well,
for
he
him.
was
It had
but
to
he
be.
was brought to the
But wait,
temptation.
but wait. What
I see what
Satan
Jared's saying
offered
too.
him?
Man,
What
y'all
Satan
look-
offered him was to have the world without any of the
But
pain.
before he
That's
got
what
to
offered
Satan, he was lured by the Holy Spirit to Satan to be tempted.
No. It's different.
Now
Two
you're
words are different.
He
Now you're
had-
taking
Take it out of
two
context.
words.
Lord,
He was
to
led to the
Lord,
wilderness.
to Lord and to be led.
No,
are two
he
different things.
wasn't
wasn't
lured.
He was
anyway.
led.
He was led. He
led.
was led. That's a
And you
different
said
word.
escorted.
So-
Escorted isn't necessarily
Yes.
lured.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a trick.
That's what the
Luring
word
is
is
tricky.
escorted. It means that we're talking about,
And that-
you ready? Let's go.
Let's
this is where you
escort
got to
me.
go for this experience to happen. Instead of like, my temptation is luring me. Hey, come over here, buddy. That's that's what happened when he got there, which is what you're saying. When he got to Satan, he was like, hey, buddy, this is what it's over here. And so that was the thing that tempted him. And he was tempted by the devil. He was tempted by Satan himself. That's serious.
And not to mention, that was 40 days
40
later.
days.
Wow.
40
Yeah.
days
So
afterwards.
the Spirit didn't
No
take
food.
him
He
to
was-
the wilderness
to the temptation. You didn't take him to the
Wow,
temptation.
I didn't think about
No,
that.
you
You're right.
can't tell me that the spirit was unaware that he was going to be
The
tempted.
spirit
Yes,
was
he
fully
knew.
aware.
But he didn't take him
Wait,
to the
here.
temptation. He took it. It's almost like
Took
he led him into
wow,
a room
that
and
clarifies
left him
more.
in the room.
But you knew the temptation
No.
was there.
It doesn't
You
even
knew it
matter.
was there.
Even if the spirit stayed with him during the temptation and did nothing, he did not tempt him.
God.
And that's what the
And I'm not saying it's
and that's the
tempting.
point because right here it's saying
I understand
God
that
is
point.
tempting me. The point of James is saying people are saying God is tempting me, meaning God is doing this evil thing to me, putting me through
I'm
this
not
evil
focused
thing.
on that part though. I'm focused
She's
on
talking about
but
the
you're-
nature
the
of God.
next piece.
She's
But
talking about the
yeah,
nature
but
of
what's
God,
your
of
but
Christ.
what's your
And- and
so
she's talking about.
based
I'm
upon
saying
what
I'm brought to me. It's basically saying I'm brought to the room by my own desires.
No.
no. In
See, and
here,
this is
so
the difference. We're talking about two different paradigms. The first one is being led anywhere by God. That's one. Okay? The second one is in temptation, these things happen. James is talking about in temptation, this is what happens. This is what happens when you feel like you want to do X, Y, Z. I'm describing this moment. I'm not describing what brought you to that. I'm not describing how much you ate the night before. I'm talking about this moment of temptation.
But they're saying
Now,
the thing that
when they
brings
slowed
you
it
there-
down and they said it like 3 or 4 times, I then understood.
what I'm saying is it's two different levels of...
I'm gonna need 5 then. I mean,
You're not slower than me.
Hey, yo, I don't want to take the whole time on this, but if you're good, we're good, man. It's just it says you're tempted when you're drawn away of your own lust and enticed.
Which is what I'm saying. Which is what he's saying. What she is saying.
Yeah,
No, but
it's
what the verse is saying here that's different than what the Matthew verse is saying. Matthew 4:1 is that what he's referring to here being dragged is the actual temptation. You're
Right.
being dragged
That's
to the
different.
thing that
That's
you
different.
like,
That's it.
That's
as
different
opposed
from
to
yes,
being dragged to then be tempted.
to the place.
The dragging and being by your own evil desire and entice is the temptation.
Yeah, that's
Right, that's what
I like
As
how
that's
you-
the
opposed
definition
to,
of
I like how you
opposed
put
to
those scriptures
the
together.
Holy Spirit being taking him and then.
Right. They're two different
Does that make
actions.
sense?
Yeah.
Two different stages, parts
Yes,
of the process.
they're 2 different stages of the process.
But God leads us to temptation. That's all I want to say.
You know what, Tim? You know what? I have to agree with you on that.
And we
The
and we
Spirit
didn't disagree
positioned
with
Christ, even though it was not the most favorable situation, it was a part of his mission.
Yes.
He led him to the next phase of his mission.
Yeah.
And after he completed that 40 days, he was tempted.
But
of the
pray that you don't see that mission.
That's what Jesus said. Jesus like, you don't
You don't want
honestly,
that.
you don't want
Don't
that.
ask for it. Don't
I'm
ask
gonna give it
for
to you, but pray. The same thing. It's the same that he puts forth when he talks about in the last days, like
Yeah,
pray
he
that
says,
without
pray
child
that-
and
yeah,
doesn't
pray
happen
that
on the
you're not
Sabbath.
in
Like I'm not saying it's not going to. Just
Yeah.
pray that it don't, because you don't want that.
And what he
Which I've never
did,
understood the Sabbath. I mean, I'll have more time to get ready if it's
what he
You will be
did
at
with
work.
the 40
I won't be
days
at work.
and after the and during the temptation, he reconciled man's falling in the garden.
Yes.
Everything that Satan presented to him, to mankind, he fell, but the second Adam came in and he made it right because he endured the temptation.
Right.
So that's why he knows we can't handle
Right.
it, and he already fulfilled it.
So, right?
He's like, so
That's the
pray
key
that
thing. It's
God-
already done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Already overcome the world, right?
And then he keeps going and says, then after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin.
That
And then
imagery.
sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. You're still...
No.
Okay.
Yeah, but we can agree to disagree though. That's cool.
No, we don't. I don't want you.
You don't want to leave
I don't want you.
afterglow.
I don't
Just-
want you.
just-
I don't
just
want
in
you to
case
be
there's somebody else
grown
who's listening
in
who-
sin. I don't want you to be full grown and then die. So
Wow.
So Jesus was tempted, correct?
Correct.
He was tempted by Satan.
By
By
Satan.
Satan.
Yes.
By
Clearly
Satan.
spoken.
Each person is tempted when he is lured by his and enticed by his own desire.
yes.
Yes.
Go back to
Jesus was tempted by Satan, not his own desire.
look at what Jesus was
didn't have
tempted
evil
with.
desire.
Jesus, this is
Wait,
what my point was
wait,
before.
Wait,
Wait.
it's not a temptation if you don't have a desire for
Listen,
something.
Yes.
For
So
something.
This is
so
my
I'm
point.
asking you.
Listen,
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So you have to look at what he was tempted
hungry.
with.
He
Yes.
was hungry, so he had
But-
desire for food.
Yes, that's what I'm
He
saying.
tempted
So
with
look
every
at what he
single
was
thing he was-
tempted with,
Yes.
and then you back down. Then you kind of go backwards to what that
Backtrack,
desire
right.
was. So he was tempted by food.
Still.
Why was he tempted by?
Actually, is it
that's what I'm trying
temptation?
to
The temptation
simplify.
by food?
No.
Or was it about the food? Was it the food?
It
That's
wasn't.
part of it.
It wasn't. It wasn't
Part of
about
it.
the food, but it was
this
food
wasn't
was
one
utilized.
temptation. This was a whole gamut. So we can't narrow it down to.
No.
Let's
he was
go.
hungry
Let's
and
break
he's
it. Let's go to
He
it.
had
It
some
was
bread, make some bread.
multi-layered.
It was a lot of different
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Satan threw a lot at him because he knew
Let's
that
go
that's
to
how
it.
much it would take.
So
Now
then
there's some
Jesus-
people who are following the Lord and they have gotten most of their act together and they're just like, you know what? The Lord went through this. Yes, Lord, send me. Bring me to temptation so that I can overcome and I can be better. And there are people like that. And Jesus is like, listen, you have enough
But the
on your plate.
temptation is never
Was-
about
was
what
Jesus-
it is. Like
was
if I'm
Jesus
tempted by
designed-
females,
But
it's
God-
never about the female. It's about my allegiance.
Did Jesus desire to be an earthly king?
It's never about the
I'm
female.
asking you.
It's,
No.
a, it's, a,
He
it's,
did.
a, it's a conduit.
Because Satan said, I'll give you this
Right.
earth.
Right.
And if I'm led by my own desire, and you're going to say he desired food, then that means he technically desired this earth.
Okay, this is
And
where
and that in itself is a personal desire. And that's when all right, well, if Satan is calling on his personal desires, which is the food, okay, this earth is his desire. So what are we saying?
it was not it. I
We're
think it was
saying
this-
that
I think it was
Jesus
different.
loves us.
No,
No,
I
no.
think it's something
Yes,
different. I
that's
think it
what
was
the
this.
earth
I
is.
think
He
it
does.
was
You
this.
can have the whole earth.
Jesus,
I'm trying to
he
answer
knew
that.
that Jesus knew that Satan only had this literal earth. This is where
No.
he's stuck.
What killed Christ? It wasn't the fact. It had nothing to do with Satan. None of this has to do with Satan. Satan is the deceiver. Christ, death was caused by his separation from God. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he said, man, if you can not separate me from you, then let's do that plan. But if that's got to be the plan, that's got to be the plan. In the beginning of this thing, Jesus knew. Satan was like, this is the easy way out. I'm going to give you a way out.
But I
you
can
don't have to be
only
separated
be
from your
tempted
Father.
by my own desires.
It was
So
about
my
him being
wife just
separated
texted
from
me.
God.
I have to
'Cause she's
agree with
watching?
you. Jesus was tempted.
By his own desires,
He was
his
tempted.
human desires.
To not
Yes.
have to be separated
Yes.
from God.
But
No.
also
No.
to have this
Yes.
earth,
This the thing.
And also to
Yeah.
and
this
also to have
literal earth.
See, I don't
I
think,
think it was
that,
more
I don't think
so-
it was that deep.
Yeah,
maybe
it is.
maybe
It
a
is.
piece of it.
No.
Okay.
We're trying to take away
We trying
from
to make
the
this-
fact that
we're trying to
Jesus
make this more
loves
complicated
the
what
earth.
it is. I'm gonna say what I said before because I thought it was right. I'm gonna say the same thing.
You gonna say it
So
again?
I'm gonna repeat.
What did your
it.
wife say? We were,
Oh, you want to hear what I said?
Yeah.
He said he was attempted.
Wait. Why is she not writing on the chat log? Why is she texting you on the phone so the rest of us could
You
see
want
it?
to text her back?
No, I want to ask her right now. Why are you not texting on the chat log? Anyway, go ahead.
Go to the chat log, sweetie, babe. He was tempted about food to prove that he was at the very base he was fully human. Is what
Okay.
she said.
That's it.
about to break
Like
it
you
down.
said,
break
it's
it
I was
down.
trying to say,
multi-layered.
And it
I
goes
was
through
trying to
all-
say,
it goes through all of them.
She can't break it down that much on text.
I think he
But
had
it
the temptation.
goes through
saying
all
it's
three
all the
levels.
same
All the
thing.
temptations.
Yes.
And we gotta be okay with
But
that.
that's the
we
thing.
have to be okay with
But
that.
it's
Because it
not-
helps us see that he was human.
That in this
that he had
multi-layered
human.
thing, there was a part of it that he was tempted to
For
have
the world. He wanted
Of
the
course.
world.
But he was also tempted to have the easy way out, to cut it.
But
to
a lot
cut
of what I'm saying, a
But
lot
you're
of people
saying, I see what you're saying.
don't want to come to
You're
the
right.
conclusion that Jesus was tempted for
You're
this
right.
literal earth.
and they do our salvation. We do
Injustice.
our
A
salvation
disservice.
injustice.
Exactly,
By-
because we're saying that he always knew it was a bigger thing. It was a bigger thing. No, but
Nah.
that James verse proves that he wanted
We know
this
it's a
earth.
bigger thing.
Right.
That doesn't
Because
mean that we
what does
don't.
Hebrews say? Letting
That's it.
Jesus was
He loved
tempted in
us.
all points as we were, yet
Yeah,
without
yeah,
sin.
without sin.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I'm glad you brought that up. That's crucial.
So what
right
she
there.
just said, what Jewel just said,
She keeps texting.
is that
Go to the thing.
So
what she
you
just
see
said.
the number call.
But what she just said is crucial because we're talking about
I'll talk to you
everything that Christ did was symbolic in that time.
Yeah.
Although it was absolutely real. So yeah, the food. I'm a human being, flesh. What was the next temptation?
It was the
Jump off
same.
the building.
There were
They're about
three.
to-
Physical. You won't die.
won't
You'll be
die.
protected.
The
You're
angels of
taken
redemption.
care of.
If
You won't
you're
have
the
to be
son
harmed.
of
Show
jump
us
off the
your
building.
invincibility.
You don't have to show. You don't have to. Look, you're
You
gonna
will
be
be as
good.
gods.
I will help you.
Mm.
Exactly. The last one. You don't even have to really go through all that pain of being separated from God. You really don't have to go through all that stuff. On every single level, Satan was deceiving Christ on bigger and bigger issues. The first one is, you okay? Are you really going to be a monk? You're really going to just not be married to anybody? Really? He was hitting him on the fleshly level.
Yeah.
They could have had a longer conversation. Then maybe they just told us about the bread. I don't know. But I think all these elements are part
You know what?
of the idea.
This is gonna have to go into the afterglow.
We are gonna have to go on
We're
that.
gonna have to go on that because you bring up some interesting stuff, and it also brings to my point that no one has ever been able to answer. But we have to do the afterglow.
But I'm curious though.
No one
you can't touch
ever
it. Like,
answered
you
this.
can't
How
get
do I
it.
know?
No,
So
we
does
answered.
this
You're not satisfied.
No, I'm
with it.
straight with this.
Uh-oh.
I'm straight
Uh-oh.
with this. I'm
Something
straight
else.
with this.
Something
I'm
else
talking
to
about
keep
my
She has
second.
another
Ding,
question.
ding.
Conclusion then.
10th round.
What is our
Oh, you need
conclusion?
to wrap it out?
Oh yes, I did see the 5-minute wine
No.
sign.
What's-
So that means we have to do what you're suggesting right now.
Yes,
So we are going to
exactly.
do that.
So
We're going to start with
exactly
you.
Oh, okay.
What's the takeaway? Alright, come back with me on the side. Let's come back with me on the side. Takeaway conclusion.
No, I'm saying there are a
So
lot.
my takeaway, man, I love the point from all of this that that Jesus is both the judge and the advocate, and that he ever lives to intercede. That was in Hebrews, right? He
Right.
ever lives to intercede, and so as he's tempted in all points as we are, so he can identify with our struggle. He's going to chastise us if necessary in order, but it's all for redirection, and so that we can be saved. So I love that point. I love that point about it. He knows how I feel, but he's not going to excuse it because he's giving me power to overcome.
Nice.
Man.
Nice. Brother Randy.
Oh man, I just missed a bunch of texts from Keisha. She's texting me too, so
Come on,
probably.
Keisha. You know better.
You know what? You know what? Somebody put the camera on. This is a forum, not to text people in the forum. There's a chat log where Jewel and Keisha and anybody else
names?
like it. Yeah.
Put
Anybody
names
else
out
like that
I know, right?
can
there.
He learned that from
can
his master.
contribute to the conversation. Please join us on the conversation on the chat log or call in on the telephone number so that we can get you be a part of it. Now go ahead
Real
with
quick,
Keisha.
real quick. Again, Keisha was talking about the God's will was for Jesus to be led to temptation because Jesus had to defeat the devil. She's talking about the same conversation, part of the same thing. I think that what she said and what I agree with is that God's will for us is that we endure as much within His will, even our pain, as possible. That we don't go outside. That we ask Him, don't lead me to that. Lead me to other places. That we are stuck within His paradigm. And I've said that word 3 times. It drives me nuts. But it's stuck within that dome of God. You know, we're just right here. Because if we're not in that dome of God, we are lost. I mean, that's the issue. And so I think when Jesus came, he showed us, boom, hit every level. Physical, mental, spiritual. Yeah, I'm good. It's okay. I don't have to jump off anything. God got me. Like, he showed us that on every single level, temptation is nothing we have to even be afraid of.
If we
It should be
trust him.
if we trust Him.
Yes. My takeaway
I'm afraid of
from was still from Hosea was that God is working diligently, despite who we are, to bring us back to Him, and that He is paying the cost, even though we're the ones who racked up the debt.
Mine was that love is not always liked. You know, I can't imagine that Hosea liked what Gomer was doing, but he loved her, and he knew that God said, "You pick and you keep it." And he didn't like it, but he kept going. And I think we have this kind of notion that love is nice, and sometimes it's gross, and sometimes it hurts, and sometimes it's just ugly. And just to compare that to God, it's like He doesn't always necessarily like what we do. He doesn't necessarily. He looks at us like, I can't stand you guys sometimes. Angels are probably face palming with some of the stuff that I do, but He still loves us. It's not always cute, but it is what it is.
Hates the sinner. Hates the sin but loves the sinner, right? I think I found the temptation aspect pretty interesting. And that bread, I think, has a serious significance in the sense that it represents the word and shows that if you're lacking there, then you open up the floodgates of temptation beyond what you can imagine. Because remember, Jesus was able to counteract, because while He was humanly hungry, spiritually he was locked in, and there was no way He can get in and get into any of the faculties of His mind and influence him otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it shows the importance of that bread that we probably take for granted.
Nice, dude. Nice.
Yeah.
Henrik, you have closing thought.
You're not doing closing?
Okay, all right.
You're doing benediction. No, I mean I think it goes back to, for me, it goes back to relationship. Like that verse I said, the Hosea 2:16 was big on me. You know, focusing more on the relationship. You know, loving God as opposed to looking at Him as this master, as this, you know, these rules and these.
Can you read that again?
It says, "In that day declares the Lord, you will call me my husband."
Yeah.
In quotes, you will no longer call me my master.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes on like Hosea 5. I made a note where it was weird. It said, Hosea 5:13, when Ephraim saw his sickness and Judah his sores, then Ephraim turned to Assyria, you know, and sent to the great king for help. And they went back, you know, so they're going to, you know, all these other people to get help. And Christ comes back and says, you know, this is so, you know, I've realized that there has been, this is what I said, not Christ. No, but Christ is saying, but He is not able to cure you, not able to heal your sores. And I was like, this is so me. I sometimes realize that I do many times, I can't write. I realize that there have been many times I've turned to Assyria, to other people, whether it's a boss, whether it's my wife, whether it's, you know, all these other people, pastor, whoever, to try to heal my wounds, to help me figure out an advisor. And I've never actually gone back to Christ, you know, my husband. So that's where, so those are the kind of takeaways I have.
I would like to thank all of you for contributing to this lively discussion. I want to encourage all of you to continue spending time in your word, because it is refreshing. All by itself. You don't need to dress it up. You don't need to
Drink up.
To add all the flavors and the colorings just on its own. It is refreshing. There is a comment from the chat room. Satan always uses lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and pride of life, and that is what he tested Jesus with as well. Do we have any idea who said that? Just a guess?
You got their phone
Whoever it
number,
was,
right?
thank you very much for sharing that contact. And we're about to shut this down. Download the reading plan if you don't have it already. It's on waterforthethirsty.com. There's a link that says study with us, download the reading plan. It's a PDF that's mobile and tablet friendly. You can get it there. Also visit us on Facebook, like the page, and share with us your thoughts and comments and questions as they arise from the reading. Let's move the conversation just off of this forum and maybe into the social media sphere. We're also on Instagram, Water for the Thirsty. With that, say a small prayer, and that'll be it. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for your word. We thank you for the ability to spend time just digesting it and making sure it's applicable to our lives so that we are encouraged, and then we can lead others to get to know you better. Be with us for the rest of the evening. It's our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Bam.
Drink up. I want more help.
I said we should be.
All right.
Yeah, I said we shouldn't be afraid of temptation, and I believe that.
Hold on.